It's Matchday 22 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and available in 40 states. Head to KUTT.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And we're brought to you by the SGPN merch store. 15% off everything when you use the promo code PLAYOFFS. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Saturday, the 27th of January, and we are here at an unusual time because of things to handicap Premier League action, a full midweek slate. Who doesn't love all of that? Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, 10 games, bosh. And we'll have a little sniff around the FA Cup. What's happened so far? There's been some good FA Cup shenanigans so far today. Joining me from probably Nottinghamshire is Mr. Barry Pernaluna. Hello, Baz. How are you?
Evening. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Had a quiet afternoon, sitting watching the football roll in. Had an afternoon to myself on a Saturday. Rare. Biggest one's been skiing. Learning to ski. She's going on a ski trip.
Really?
So there's an indoor snow place about an hour away from here. So she's been there for her first lesson. She's back next week for a second one. And then Helen,
did she like it?
She enjoyed it. She's knackered. I'm a bit concerned as I'm very short of footballers for my team tomorrow. Joy and a friend who have been skiing today are two of the star players for us. So I need them to be fit and ready tomorrow, but they're both absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But then Helen decided that she wanted to do something. And she said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to sit on this settee and do nothing." So she took the little one out bowling again, second week in a row.
Oh.
After we hammered her last week, she's out getting some practice. So I've no doubt she'll come back and tell us she got triple figures this week and beat my score. And then I'll have to go down the alley tomorrow to overturn it again. But yeah, they've been out bowling. So I've just been sitting watching football, which has been all right.
Have you not done that duck pin bowling, Baz? We did a bit of that over Christmas, which is it's like 10 bits. It's the same setup, but it's just all a little bit smaller. It's got a little bit of box skittles about it. Do you know what I mean? We did it down in the town.
You get the ball in your hand, don't you? Like
ball in hand, yeah. You get 3 balls. Yeah, it's got a little bit of Southeast England pub skittles about it, but that because it's a bit easier for the kids. They just miss less because it's a little bit easier, so it's general chaos. But yeah, that's all right. Because of the weather's still being shit, all the grass pitches are cancelled. None of the grass pitches are available. So all of our games now, or loads of the local games, are getting moved to the afternoon. So we had a 2:30 kickoff this afternoon. Normally, kids' football's all in the morning, 9, 10, 11 a.m. kickoffs. But the last few weeks, we've been having to just go whenever you can get an availability. So we've been up to Hexham this afternoon for a 2:30 kickoff. Beat them 8-0, was very comfortable. Bob was good. He minced around the middle of the park a lot, is what he did. Right up his alley, a pressure-free, easy win, where the opposition let him have the ball. He absolutely loves that. Like, you just start there and just fanny on with it. Like, you completed about 296 passes, all 2 yards or fewer this afternoon. So that was good. And I'll tell you, the reason we're doing this early, Baz, is because I've got to work tomorrow. And I said I was going to Northampton. I'm going to Northamptonshire, but I'm actually going to Toaster. So what I was hoping, Baz, was there'd be some American people in the chat, because I want them to try and spell Toaster, because that sort of shit blows their mind, doesn't it? English spelling of words. So if anyone from across the pond wants to have a go at spelling Toaster, it's pronounced like the item of kitchenware that you put your bread in. but it's spelt nothing like that. So that's where I'm going tomorrow. So if you want to go, there's 5 points available for anyone who can spell toaster correctly in the chat. I've just stuck Gladiators on the telly, Baz, as well. You got the new series of Gladiators, the new incarnation of Gladiators.
I watched it a little bit last week. What I find very weird is Mark Clattenburg trying to sound like the old John Anderson with his Scottish accent.
Ah, right.
Really weird.
That's what I was just going to say. I didn't see it last week. I was just going to ask you if you knew what the Premier League link was. I've put it on really just to see if there's anyone sexy in it. But all I've seen so far is men with very big legs, like legs the size of my whole body, effectively. So we'll see if there's any sexy women on in the next half an hour or so. FA Cup. Last night was shit. I'm not even on about the picks now. I'm just about the general football. There was 4 games. We had 2 0-0 draws. There was a 1-1. And then the other game, City-Tottenham, finished 1-0. That was actually a good game of football. If you sort of watched that game and I said, I've taken the goals out, here are all the highlights, you might have said, oh, that finished 4-3 to Man City or whatever. But City scraped it after a soft bit of goalkeeping from Vicario. But it was a good game. The rest of it was all a bit rubbish. But today's been a little bit better in terms of picks and fun. The most fun thing being, we complained, Barry, about Maidstone United not getting on the telly in the last round. And today, that was the whole thing. Because we had a half-2 kickoff, I watched the first half, and I've never sat and watched half an FA Cup match. We had to leave at half-time. Like, that excited, because that's what is what. And even Bob was watching, in the IT department were watching, because of the story of it all. And Maidstone never got a kick in the first half an hour. Like, Ipswich hit the woodwork 4 times. Maidstone couldn't get the ball. And then one break, and it's 1-0. Then Ipswich equalised, we expect them to run away with it again. And then another break, and it's 2-1. And it was absolutely brilliant, absolutely outstanding. I loved all of that.
You know what I didn't love, Malcolm? Is can you recall how many times I have faded Ipswich in cup competitions this season?
Yeah.
You do it literally every round about Ipswich will be focused on the league. They're going to rest players. And I put the other team out as an underdog several times and failed, obviously, because they're still in the cup up until today they were. But I didn't go with it, and I should have went with it as soon as it kicked off. And I seen the lineup as well. They made a lot of changes. And I thought, I should have had this down as an underdog. But that said, my underdog of the pick of the day was 6-1 Luton Town, 90-odd minutes winner. So the underdog pick won for me. The rest of my FA Cup picks have been poor, but got myself out of jail with a 6-1 winner on the underdog. So that was an absolute bonus for me today.
But there was 2 25-1 shots on this FA Cup slate, and one of them won today, and I've picked the other one tomorrow. So I don't know what my odds are now, Baz. I don't know if that makes me more or less likely. I just laughed at that. I thought, fucking hell, you take a bit of a punt on a 20, even a 28-1. I took Newport in Maidstone, go and get the job done today. But even the commentator at the Ipswich game mentioned that it was the first time they'd been in the 4th round for 13 years. And I'm sure that was a stat. You pulled out those stats. I think it was in the last round you had them to get turned over by whoever it was.
I pulled out the same stuff last year. I think I was successful in fading Ipswich in the early rounds last year, and then did try it again in the last round, and similarly in the League Cup. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed myself because the theory behind it, I've done that in a lot of games recently with some success. It was fading teams like Fulham before they had their semi-final with Liverpool and stuff like that, sort of where teams are focused on something else. But you knew Ipswich would definitely prioritise the league. I should have had a little go on them, but I didn't. Never mind. But as I say, we hit the underdog anyway.
The women have come on Gladiators, Baz. It is quite good telly. I'll give you that. It's quite distracted. If you talk to me and you see me not replying, it's because I'm watching. There's 2 women in sprue on clothes roll around the floor. What was I going to say? Yeah, Luton. I fancied Luton on the handicap. So I kind of feel like I've had a loser, even though I had a winner. They were plus money, plus 106, plus a goal. And 1-1 in the 95th minute. I thought it was a great pick. And it's a nice pick. It's all right. Keeps you ticking over. But then you feel like you've picked a 6-1 shot and not quite got it over the line. But yeah, I don't know what to make quite of Everton. And then I have no idea how my Leeds and Plymouth bet didn't win. Both teams to score and then go up the ladder. Because Leeds, both teams actually with several chances, but Leeds particularly, twice this week, But today they missed chance after chance, and like good ones as well. My mate Patrick Bamford was back to his culpable best again today. He's been in decent goal scoring form recently, but he does miss some chances, and he was back to it today. And then Newcastle kick off in 48 minutes against Fulham Town. Fulham Town against Fulham. I haven't seen the teams yet, Baz, or anything like that. So, not too bad.
It always is for Newcastle. Newcastle have got the same 11, with the exception Almiron isn't in the squad, which raises a few eyebrows because he's linked with Saudi Arabia. Jacob Murphy's back, though, so that's a good bonus for Newcastle. Having Murphy back to freshen things up on the right-hand side. Everyone else is pretty much as you were.
Yeah, one of my boys, Baz, the under-12s, got picked up by Newcastle United on Thursday. Had his first training session on Friday night, so I was absolutely over the moon because I think they've got some very, very good players and deserve a few more of them deserve a chance. And that's the first one who's been picked up, so that was good news for all for him and all his little mates in our little team. That was exciting. What was I going to see? Yeah, so FA Cup wise, more stuff going on tomorrow. More picks actually tomorrow. We took West Brom first goal against Wolves. I've got my Newport County bet running. So stuff going on tomorrow. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one with recording Saturday, but this is a midweek Premier League. I don't know why they give them a winter break and then fire them down, fire a midweek game up so quick after. It doesn't seem to make any sense. It's like you have a little rest, but when you do, we're going to give you sort of 2 games in 48 hours kind of thing. Who's Duke having a good spelling toaster? That's not bad. He still got it wrong. Did he think he thought he got it right? He got it wrong. Not bad. Towcaster. Not too bad. No points, unfortunately, for you, Duke. Duke Callum was first in the chat, and James Mafia. Good afternoon. How you doing? Apparently, there's going to be no Fulham fans today, Baz. They're boycotting. I didn't realise. Brett, our Fulham correspondent, messaged me earlier on because it was 40 quid a ticket, which is a bit strong. Bear in mind, Fulham have got no fans anyway. Brett's the only one I've ever met or known. 40 quid for a shit Saturday night televised FA Cup game is a bit steep. So the Fulham fans are boycotting that. So more power to them. I'm all for it. But yeah, let's get stuck into the Premier League stuff. Once I've told you about first, we're going to go to Underdog Fantasy. And our promo code is live. So American people, Canadian people, James, for example, get involved in this. Great way to play alongside your favourite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball and football. Pick higher or lower on your favourite players' stats. You can win 100x with some spicy plays. Watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website. Sign up with the code PLGP, which stands for Premier League Gambling Podcast. So PLGP, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PLGP. And also, our bosses and overlords will be very impressed if we get some sign-ups. So do us a favour, go across, sign up, deposit a couple of quid. You might pick some winners, and it will help me and Baz out as well. Tuesday night, 7:30, 2:30 Eastern Time is Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. Nottingham Forest are 7-1. The draw is Burlington Bertie 100-30 plus 333. And Arsenal are 2-5 minus 240. Forest were in action last night in the Cup. Dog shit 0-0 draw against Bristol City. Didn't watch any of it. Doesn't sound like I had to. Arsenal are out of the FA Cup, so have had a free weekend. Forest have had back-to-back wins against Newcastle and Man United, which have kind of glossed over that poor form because they had a terrible loss at Brentford last time. They lost at home to Bournemouth 3-2. They lost at home to Tottenham. They lost at home to Everton. So Forest really aren't blowing my skirt up at all. I don't know where that Newcastle win came from in Man United, a cack. Arsenal, this kind of fits Arsenal a little bit because they are rested. They hammered Palace at home, but there was no surprise there. We've said before, that's kind of Arsenal's strong point, is to beat bad teams at home. But they haven't won in 3 before that. So this is really tricky. the underdog price didn't appeal to me with Forest. But I don't really want anything to do with Arsenal either. I did, however, Baz, I know we said we're looking at more props markets, more player props. We've both started looking at different. I've been using StatMuse, which I use for the baseball, and they've just added Premier League to it. It's really, really good if anyone's a StatMuse user. And you've been using a football stat site as well, Baz. So I got into the corners market here, Baz. The only problem I've got is I'm waiting for the lines because we're 3 or 4 days out from these games. There's no line. So I'm going to give a pick out without any lines here, but it will be the kind of standard over under 10 to 11 kind of thing. Arsenal are averaging 7.1 corners away from home. Forest only averaging 3.7 at home. So the call is going to be either, and it depends on the markets, but Arsenal to go over their own corner total, Nottingham Forest to go under their corner total, or possibly, and you can see this market occasionally, is Arsenal handicap on the corners. Arsenal to have more, could be Arsenal -1, -1.5, and there'd be a little ladder somewhere. So I'm waiting for the picks. So it's not really a very satisfying pick, Baz, but it'll be up on Arsenal corners, it'll be down on Forest, or we'll be trying to find the handicap on Arsenal to thoroughly out corner Forest, Baz.
Yeah, so it was a difficult one to start with here because you've got to decide whether you think that 5-0 win over Palace means Arsenal are back from their slump, because that was their first win in 5, and they've only won 2 of the last 8 in all competitions now, Arsenal. And away from home, they've lost 4 in a row. So I'm struggling a little bit with Arsenal at 2-5 away from home. Didn't appeal to me at all. And as you've pointed out, whilst Nuno's started well at Forest, back-to-back wins, Newcastle and Man United, it's been hard work for them since. They lost to Brentford in the league, who had been really in bad form at the time. They failed to beat Blackpool twice over 90 minutes, and they failed to even score against Bristol City last night. The 0-0 in that game wasn't in the script. I'd taken goals. I took both teams to score. Forest had seen 6 games in a row prior to that with over 2.5 goals. So I didn't see a 0-0 coming there. But again, we've sort of said some of this FA Cup stuff, you can sort of draw a line under it in terms of adding it into your form lines, because I'm not sure how much we really learned from that game. I think the goals for me was where I would go, because I don't fancy Forest enough to win it, but I think Forest could make a game of it. I like both teams to score. I think Forest can get on the score sheet. Arsenal away from home have only got 1 clean sheet in the last 10 games, so they are conceding enough on the road to suggest Forest can make something of it. But I think rather than take both to score, I will go the safer route in case Arsenal do go and sort of win at a canter. I'm going to take the over 2.5 goals. It's quite a short price. It's 7-10 to kick things off with. But the pick for me, Forest v Arsenal, is over 2.5 goals at 7-10, Malcolm.
It's an overs league, Baz. It's an overs league. That was a tricky game, though. It was a hard one, really, to get a good grip on something like. I didn't like that one too much. 2:45 Eastern Time on Tuesday is Fulham against Everton. Fulham are 13-9 plus 145. The draw is 9-4 plus 225. Everton are 15-8 plus 187. Barry.
Yeah, so at the time of recording, obviously, we haven't watched the Fulham v Newcastle, so not entirely sure how much weight we'd give to that result. Anyway, whichever way it goes, it looks like Fulham have made a few changes for that game. Looking at tossing Palhinha, Raul, Willian, Raul Jimenez, obviously, and Vinicius all on the bench. So it looks like they have made a few changes tonight. So might be coming into this one versus Everton a bit fresher. We have seen the Everton result today, though, where they've lost to Luton late on. And Everton are just bang out of form at the minute. They had that big boost, didn't they, soon after their points deduction. It was back, sort of backs to the wall and let's sort of take on everyone. Got a few results, got themselves out of shit, but then they've just returned to their early season form. Just 1 point and 2 goals from the last 4 league games. They've lost again in the cup today. Doucouré is out injured again. He's been an important player for them. Now, Fulham aren't blowing anyone away as well. I said this in the sort of review of when we talked about Fulham Newcastle the other day. other than the Arsenal win for Fulham, which was really good, there's not a lot around that. That gives you loads of confidence in Fulham in terms of their general form. That's the only win they've got in the last 5 in the league is that Arsenal game. But the home record is really solid, and that's what's sort of brought me back to Fulham here. Just 2 defeats in the last 10 at home and 7 wins in 10. It's good form at home. They've had a couple of 5-0 wins, we remember, where they went a little bit bonkers for a few weeks. They've had a couple of games where they're scoring 3s as well. I think that home form, taken with Everton's current form in general, just points to a Fulham win. 6-4. I think Fulham to beat Everton at 6-4 is a good price. That's going to be my pick. Fulham to beat Everton at 6-4, Malcolm.
About that first game, big and hard, Baz, this was really tricky. I had at various points all 3 options. I've just actually scribbled out Everton on the money line. I handicapped it and picked Everton on the money line, and then I've sat and watched Everton get turned over at home to Luton, and I can't in good faith pick them. You might want to put a line through Fulham at 10 o'clock tonight after you've watched them get humped off Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? It's really tricky because both teams are in poor form. It's really hard to trust either team, to want either team. Fulham, apart from that Arsenal win, 4 defeats without scoring for Fulham. They're not even scoring, let alone just getting beat. I thought the Everton form reads a little bit better. The defeat at Wolves was horrible. But they were unlucky at Tottenham where they got beat. They got beat off Man City, which is standard. They got a draw against Villa, which is okay. And before that, they'd beaten Chelsea, Newcastle and Forest. So I leant towards Everton. That was my pick. But they're just not winning enough. The only thing that puts me off, I'm going to take the draw, Barry. The only thing that puts me off taking the draw is that Fulham haven't drawn a home game in the league. I think it's 1-6, lost 4. But I just can't split them, Baz, at all. I don't think either team really are in good enough form to win a game or in a position where there's confidence and enough goals in either to win a game. So I'm going to take the 9-4, the draw, plus 225, Baz. And I'm also going to put it up as the 1-1 draw of the week. Hey, there we go. So yeah, 1-1's up at 6-1, and the draw is 9-4 plus 225. Next up is 7:45 on Tuesday. Luton take on Brighton. Luton are 7-2 plus 350. The draw is Burlington Bertie 130 plus 333. Brighton are 11-17 minus 153. As Serial joins us in the chat. Tell us, Serial, how the hell are you? He's tipping up Alexander Isak, goal or assist in this Fulham game. I'll happily support you on that one, Serial. Luton continue to play everybody close. Another example this afternoon, they've actually gone and won late goal and won 2-1 at Everton in the Cup. 1 goal defeats to Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, all since December the 5th. Good sides, like. And Brighton won today 5-2 in the FA Cup against Sheffield United. Bit of a mad one. But they've gone boring before that. Back-to-back 0-0 draws. But they hadn't won away in the league in ages, Brighton and Hove Albion at all. And they've only won 3 out of 10. So that's a short price, man. 11-17 minus 153. But I'm going to take the pick I took today. I was happy with it. I was over the moon with it, where it 1-1. I'm happy enough with it, even though I could have backed them at 6-1. But Luton plus half a goal. We've said this. They're just playing everyone close. Luton plus half a goal is 6-5 plus 120, Barry.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scroll to my note. I'm busy looking at bet builders on the Newcastle game whilst listening. Not listening to you. Luton, Brighton, back-to-back 0-0s, as you say, for Brighton in the league. Nobody was predicting either of those. Definitely an anomaly in Brighton's season. But they were back to normal Brighton today, weren't they? Both teams to score and lots of goals, which it hits regularly in Brighton games. Brighton 5-2 winners at Sheffield United today. Did finish 5-2, didn't it? I think so. I lost track of that one.
Pedro, do you remember I said on Sunday night that all he does is stand on the penalty spot and do drag backs? Well, he scored 2 penalties today, and you're not allowed to do a drag back when it is a penalty. So that's the only reason he scored.
I mean, a regular play for me for Luton lately has been the both teams to score. Always fancy them to get on the score sheet, particularly at home. They've scored in their last 6 home league games, and that includes games against Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. So no reason at all why they can't get a goal against Brighton. I think both teams to score is a good starting point here, but it's one of them where we need to tag on the over 2.5 to get us to a reasonable price. So the pick for me, Luton v Brighton, is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at even money.
Okay. So next up, we are going to 8 o'clock on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Crystal Palace taking on aforementioned Sheffield United. Crystal Palace 11-17. Home jollies -153. The draw is up at 5-2 plus 250. Sheffield United are 5-1 dogs. Baz.
Yeah, so the wheels have fallen off for Palace, haven't they? And Hodgson starting to come under real pressure now from the Palace fans. Just 1 win in 12 games in all competitions, and they've failed to score in 3 consecutive games now. Now, Sheffield United, no win in 5 in the league, but I think we're just seeing a bit more from Sheffield United, certainly since Wilder come in. They're not getting hammered. Even when they're losing, they're getting in amongst the goals. I mean, today, 5-2 looks like a hammering, but they added 2-2. They came from 2-0 down, came back to 2-2 for a long time as well. Brent Diaz coming in might help as well on that front. It gives them a little bit more threat going forward. And they'll certainly give Palace a game here. And if they can get the first goal here, that Selhurst Park crowd is going to turn toxic on Palace. I can't have Palace at odds on. Even at home, I'm not having Palace at the current price. I think it's crazy. So I'm going to take Sheffield United here, double chance at 6-5. But I wouldn't put anyone off taking Sheffield United on the money line at 5-1. That's a pick that might make a reappearance towards the end of the show for me. But the pick for me, Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United, is Sheffield United double chance to win or draw this one at 6-5.
I really, really wanted to take Sheffield. I think it was any other team I might have taken them as a dog, but there's nothing to recommend Sheffield United, really. They're just not winning any games, let alone enough games. They've only got two away points all season. The first 3 words I've got to do this are Palace are rubbish. They've won 2 out of 10 at home. They've still got no Elise. Big issue. The main problem I have handicapping this is the kind of game that Crystal Palace survive on. They survive on a diet of winning 6 home games a year against dog shit teams. And this fits very much into that mold. But I don't fancy them in no way backing Palace at that price. Absolutely mad. Sheffield United aren't doing enough for me to want to take them at the big price. But 2 of the last 3, there's been plenty goals in Baz. 2-2 at West Ham. 2-2 at home to West Ham. And then they had that the 2-3 game against Luton Town as well. And 4 of Crystal Palace's last 5 games have all gone over 2.5. And I'm just determined, Barry, to get away from me unders. It's an overs league. Remember, I am showing growth and development. I am pivoting away from the unders, taking the overs, especially because it's plus money, Baz. It's 11-10 plus 110. I think Palace might nick this 2-1. I'm going to take the over 2.5 goals at 11-10 plus 110. So what's going on here, Baz? The IT department is very rarely to be seen in the kitchen rattling the pots and pans. But as we speak, there's some aromas drifting out of there. So I might be in for a bit of tea, Baz. I'll show you what else I did today, Barry, in a fit of rage. Pulled all the lemons off my lemon tree, look. I don't know why.
Have you given up on it?
I haven't given up on it, but I just if you give them a little tug, they come off. Sometimes I've tugged them and they won't come off. I think there's one still on there because it didn't want to come off. But these were clearly ready to come off. I mean, I've got he's a big boy, him. So I pulled them all off. So what I have done, Baz, so is not to completely waste them. I've bought a really nice bottle of olive oil. So I'm going to slice these up and I'm going to thumb them in the olive oil. So I'm going to have some nice sort of lemony oil to keep us going. But I think it needs to be dormant now for a little while. It's no good hanging on to the fruit. You can't hang on to the past, Barry. So these bad boys are going in the oil. And I'll tell you on Wednesday night if there was anything for tea. Next up is Cut, peer-to-peer social betting platform that Ryan Kramer is cleaning up on at the moment. So you need to go and take a few quid off him. Based in the US, available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting Loads of fun. We can do it over here all the time, but it's new in the States. Cut off as low vig and fully customizable odds. So you can create your own bets, take a few quid off your friends or any old strangers, in fact. Remember, Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and legal in 40 states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Research NFL, NBA and soccer bets. Put all your legs into the parlay optimizer, and Hall of Fame Bets tells you expected probabilities. They give you hit rates. They tell you who's hot, which picks have value. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit a2fbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. And finally, get in the merch store, buy some stuff. Why wouldn't you? 15% off everything from now to the end of the month with the promo code PLAYOFFS. All the shows are competing for bonuses as well, so you need to do that for us. Go and buy your favourite item is what you need to do. Next up is there's one more game on Tuesday night, which is Aston Villa against Newcastle United, 8:15 kick-off, which means Fat Man Five-a-side has been cancelled this week. Aston Villa are 9-10, -111. The draws at 3-1. Newcastle are 5-2, plus 250. I think this is me to lead off. Absolutely ridiculous, this, Baz. You've got a Villa team who recently won 14 home games in a row, playing a team with won 1 out of 10 away from home. Villa absolutely humped Newcastle at their place last year. We never got a kick. Totally blew us out the water. This is a complete and utter no-brainer. Aston Villa 9-10, -111.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
You don't have to like it.
No, I understand it. It's fine. I've told you over and over again, I just haven't been that blown away by Aston Villa at any point. Not to say at any point they've had odd games, but I still think the position's flattering them a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking Newcastle here either.
We're getting beat off everybody away. Literally everyone. Better, worse teams than Villa. Considerably worse teams than Villa.
Do you think that'll happen all season now? You reckon that's it? We just won't win away from home?
Come back to me at 10 o'clock tonight when we've lost 3-0 at Fulham.
I'll come back to you tonight. It's a strange fixture, isn't it? Because when we play them at home, we batter them 5-1, 4-0 in the last 2 outings. The last 3 at Villa Park, we've lost without scoring a goal, 3-0, 2-0, 2-0. So, as I say, complete contrast whether we play Villa at home or away. They do remain unbeaten at home in the league. Only Everton have beaten them in any competition. They beat them in the AFL Cup. And Newcastle are in horrible form. 4 consecutive league defeats, 6 defeats in the last 7 as well. What we have seen from Newcastle games is plenty of goals lately. Most of them in our net, but 15 in the last 3 games. And 6 of the last 7 have gone over 2.5 goals. But on the other side of that, Villa have kept 3 clean sheets in a row now. Cup games again. So, some of that you sort of take with a pinch of salt. I wanted to try and make a case for Newcastle here because I do think Newcastle will turn things around. I think we'll have a better second half of the season than the current form we're in. But 5-2 certainly not a big enough price, and it means it's not big enough elsewhere for other parts of Newcastle betting. I found a bet here, Malcolm, something different, something I've never put out before. And it's just something that hits regularly in Newcastle games. What do we keep doing in games? What did we do against Man City? What did we do against PSG, AC Milan, Liverpool, Everton, Spurs? Concede late goals. Concede late goals. All the time. So, 7 of the last 10 Newcastle games have seen a goal after 79 minutes. And away from home, it's 6 of the last 7 Newcastle games have seen a goal in the last 10 minutes of a game. And it's not just the last 10 minutes because you've got all your injury time as well. And we know sometimes now that can be up to 10 minutes. So the bet is, and it's available on Bet365, but I've no doubt you'll get it elsewhere, is a goal to be scored after the 79th minute at 5-6. As I say, something a bit different. Because it's something that's sticking in my head. We're tiring in games. We're conceding goals late in games. And games where, we were winning last year, we were getting goals late on as well. So plenty of form for it. Give me a goal late on. Goal in the last 10 minutes of the game at 5-6 in the Villa v Newcastle.
Interesting, Baz. Baz has gone wild. Just back the Gladiators, Baz. Mark Battenberg here. He's just been doing something with his arms, and I remembered he's got those tattoos on from the games that he refereed. That makes my teeth itch a little bit. That easily could put you on the tit list. Although I don't know if he's not relevant to football anymore, but what sort of bloke? Do you know what I mean? It's your job for a start. Like, it's not like he's won anything, or it's an achievement. He's done well in his profession. But why would you have? It's got like UEFA Europa League final 2014 or something tattooed on his forearm. What a knobhead! You can just 100% tell he's a tit. Okay. Wednesday night, 7:30 kickoff. This is going to be fun for Burnley. Manchester City take on Burnley. Manchester City are 1-11, minus 1100. The draw is 9-1. Burnley are 18-1. Baz, make your case for the Clarets.
I can't.
No, you can't. You're right.
Look at the head. Have you seen the head-to-head record? I don't know if you looked at it. I know we don't take that much notice of head-to-head. City have won the last 8 in a row by an aggregate score of 28-0. Burnley haven't scored against Man City in 8 outings. 2019 was the last time they scored against them. So they're averaging about 4.5 goals to nil every time they play. About 4, I should say. I think City are now back in form, 7 wins in a row. De Bruyne is back. Pep says he's ready to start, so he may start this one. Haaland, probably unlikely to start, but might make the bench for this one. I don't think it really matters at this stage. I'll be very brief, really, because what are you meant to do with City? It's impossible to make a case for Burnley in this one. I think I thought about, and similar to you, some of the lines aren't out. I thought about the City shots again, because the City shots done really well for me against Newcastle.
Did that finish last night, Baz?
It finished about, I think they had 19 shots.
Yeah, because you sent me a little bet builder last night, and 15.5 was the line. And I was counting for a little while, but it did look like I gave up because it looked like it was comfortably going over. Is that the case?
Yeah, it came in easy enough, but there's no lines out yet, so I've left that alone because don't get me wrong, it's going to be in the 20s. City shots to be able to catch the winner. I'm just going to take a Man City handicap. Man City to win by 3 or more. It's a 10-11. I just can't make any case for Man City here, I'm afraid.
Lee Smith just new name in the chat.
I should say.
His comments probably made me laugh. It says, I'll read it out loud completely. 18-0 City. I think I've watched us concede 1 million goals on that fucking ground. So not too enthusiastically. That's brilliant. Well done. And Oran Bell is in asking if Baz got on Luton. The answer is yes. Barry did get on Luton at 6-1. I took them on the handicap. So I got plus 105 about the 6-1 winner, even money. So great pick that was Oran. We talked about that earlier on. So
Oran was in the live this morning. He's a Celtic fan. So I talked about the Luton game there, but it was good pick that. There was someone else in the live. I don't know who it was. He had his bet that would get him a week off. Basically, the bet that if it won, he wouldn't go into work next week, and it was a 300-1 shot. And the only part of it I can remember, I'll have to go back and look at it, was Luton to win and both teams to score. So that was the first leg of it. I know he's got Wrexham to win and both teams to score on Monday night. And there was one of them. I can't remember who it is, but hopefully, whatever it is, I hope he's still in the hunt for his week off work. Man
City here. It's impossible. What you've got to try and do is find an angle. And I thought I've found a decent one, Barry. Even money. You've just got to keep looking around, ploughing through handicaps, halves, totals, until something hits you. And something did hit me. So, Man City. I mean, Lee Smith said it all. We don't need to add anything onto that. We've seen a bigger price than 18-1 shot win. Maidstone went and won today, 25-1. So they're live. So it's impossible to make a case for Burnley not getting hammered. It's just how And my case here is the first half goals, Baz, over 1.5 first half goals is even money. Man City came out last night. I mean, it was a good game, but easily could have had. I think there was a goal disallowed after about 6 minutes through tight offside. Oscar Bob, if he just let it roll in, it would have stood. But yeah, Man City could be away and gone by half time. So I thought that price would be sure. I thought it'd be nearer maybe 4 to 6, something like that. So over 1.5 first half goals is even money. Maybe even Burnley get one of them, League. It might be ones each. There might be 2-0 up at half time. Imagine cashing that one. Next is 7:30 Wednesday. Tottenham v Brentford. Tottenham are 11 to 18, minus 163. Doors 16 to 5, plus 320. Brentford are 4 to 1. Tottenham played well last night. Many worse 4 to 1 shots than Tottenham to turn over Man City. It was 0-0 after 85 minutes. Tottenham had made plenty of chances. So yeah, I thought they played all right. They won 4 of 6, and they were the better team in the last game, which they drew against Manchester United. Still tons of goals flying around. 4-4, 6-3, 2-5 in the last 6 league games. Although last night flew in the face of that 1-0. But that game was good for a lot more goals than a 1-0. It wasn't, you watch certain games and there's a dearth of chances. Last night didn't look like a 1-0. Brentford are far from out of the woods, I think. They've beaten Forest 3-2 last week. They had the little boost of Ivan Toney coming back. But Forest are in poor form, and Brentford did make a bit of a meal of it as well. And there's been tons of goals in their games, 5-4 and 5 in their last 3 league games. I think Tottenham are going to smash them up here. Tottenham will just play the way they always play. But the safest play for me, the last 3 Tottenham home games in the league, this would have cashed all of them, is Tottenham to win in over 2.5 goals. So Tottenham might go and do them in 3, 4, 5. But maybe Brentford could join in and get us one as well, which wouldn't surprise me. But I still think Tottenham will go on and win maybe 3-1. But I think Tottenham will duff them up. And that's plus money as well. Tottenham to win over 2.5 match goals is 21 to 20, plus 105, Barry.
Yeah, so I've got similar sort of thoughts on where I think the game will go. Brentford, obviously, welcome back Ivan Toney last week, won 3-2 over Forest. That was their first win in 8 games, though, and their away form is very poor. They've lost their last 4, and they've won just twice away from home all season. Spurs obviously lost last night, but I think that result against another one, it doesn't really change anything in relation to this game. They had been on a 4-game winning streak at home before that, and I like Spurs to win. They are a short price, so you've got to find a different way of doing it. You've found your way, and I've just gone a little bit different. I was saying, do I want them enough to take them on a handicap? And obviously, Ivan Toney coming back will rejuvenate Brentford a little bit, but they'll still continue to concede goals. But Brentford might get on the score sheet, and that might work for you in terms of getting you over 2.5. So I avoided the handicap, and I like the look of goals, Spurs goals for me. Spurs have got Maddison back fit, which will be a welcome boost. We know Son's away, but they haven't really struggled much without Son. Still been creating enough. Richarlison's playing better now. Brentford haven't got a clean sheet in 12 games as well. So Spurs will get goals, and I'm going to take them to get 3 here. And then I thought, what can Brentford get another one? Do I just take the over 3.5 goals? But I've decided Spurs defence is back to full strength now. They did restrict Man City, to just a single goal last night. And I thought the safer option, rather than taking over 3.5, I'm going to take Spurs to score 3 or more. 13 to 8. So like you, I think Spurs will win this, and I think they'll win it comfortably. So the pick for me, Spurs v Brentford, is Spurs to score 3 or more goals in that game at 13-8.
I love that. I do think they're going to absolutely batter them, Baz. This could be 3, 4, 5. Good game on Wednesday night, 8:15 is, I can't believe we haven't mentioned this man's name yet, Barry. We're going to do it in a minute.
You're not mentioning it?
Liverpool. Oh, we're not mentioning it. Well, let's mention.
If you want to listen to that, you can go and watch any other football match or any other football commentary to anything, because it's always talked about 24 hours.
If we're not going to mention it, we'll at least mention that we're not going to mention it. Give us a second. Liverpool 11 to 17, minus 153. The draw is 3 to 1. Chelsea are 15 to 4, plus 375. I don't know if you heard, Barry, this week, but the Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp, he's called. He's going to stop being the Liverpool manager. But we're not mentioning that now. Oh, you're crying. Fucking hell. My opinion of it is, Baz, I could not give a shit.
Yeah, I've just, to be honest, I'm not looking forward to the next 4 months of this big Jurgen Klopp loving that we're going to see every single Liverpool game. Like, you watched it yesterday. It was on, all that was on the TV, and then you put the Man City game on, and all they're talking about before the game was Jurgen Klopp. Watching Man City Spurs, they interview Postecoglou, and the first thing they ask him is about Jurgen Klopp. And then before they interviewed Pep, before the game, they had to announce that Pep had said he wouldn't talk about Klopp before the game, but he will talk to us afterwards. Why should you even need to announce that? He'd obviously said to them, "Don't ask me about that. Ask me about the game." This was like a pre-match chat. And that say, "Oh, sorry, Pep isn't going to answer any questions on Klopp. He'll do it later." I just got sick of it. It's only been a day, but we're going to hear this for weeks and weeks and weeks. There'll be a feature-length film out. There'll be a series on Netflix. There'll be statements in Parliament from Liverpool MPs, and it's all going to get on my tits. So I think we should declare our show somewhere a safe space for people that don't want to hear about Jurgen Klopp over and over and over again. So that is it. Move on. Liverpool v Chelsea, Malcolm.
I just asked Baz, because Serial's mentioning about Klopp on the tip list. We could permanently retire Jurgen Klopp's place on the tip list, because the tip list is a movable feast, Barry. It's one on, one off. He's not even on it. Baz, he's not on the tip list. Did you think he was?
We tried. I think
just would have. Look, there it is. He's not even on it, Baz.
He should have been on against Newcastle, I think, but we didn't want to look bitter.
Yeah, maybe that was it. We might have to retire.
He'll get there, don't worry. He will get there, and he probably will become a lifetime member of the tip list.
Will your opinion change when they make him Newcastle manager next summer, Barry?
I don't fucking want that. He's not coming back to Premier League anyway.
Right, okay. No more Jurgen Klopp chat. Done. End. Finished. Never existed. Go.
Newcastle match kicks off in 10 minutes. We haven't got time to talk
get
about
on
that.
with it quick.
0-0, Malcolm. It's always 0-0, isn't it? Well, not always, but 4 of the last 5 have been 0-0. And the last 7 games in a row in this fixture, Liverpool v Chelsea, have all been a draw. 7 in a row. So I'll keep it simple. I'm going to follow the trend. But not just because of the head-to-head thing, because, as I say, I don't lean too much into that because you're looking at games from a long time ago. But the form for this season points to a draw as well. We saw Chelsea draw with Villa last night. We've already saw them draw with Arsenal and Man City this season, and they drew with Liverpool earlier in the season. So 3 teams against the top 3 games against the top 3 sides, and Chelsea have come away with a draw. And then you look at the Liverpool. They've drew with Arsenal, they've drew with Man City, they've drew with Man United, they've drew with Chelsea. So again, the big games, Liverpool and a draw, has got really good form. So forget the 7 in a row trend. I just think the form this season tells you this could easily finish in another draw. And Liverpool-Chelsea draw will be my pick. Liverpool draw v Chelsea at 16-5, Malcolm.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same, Baz. Liverpool missing Salah, but they've been going along okay. Chelsea, you just don't know what to get. Chelsea, in a nutshell, in the last 2 weeks, beat Middlesbrough 6-1, lost to Middlesbrough 1-0. Like, that's if you want to bet that team, crack on, but it's not for me. Like, Liverpool haven't lost in ages either. That's why I didn't want Chelsea, like, in ages. But so obviously lots of 0-0 draws. But the books are ignoring that. The books have gone goals again, but Chelsea just aren't really getting involved in that. Chelsea have the 3 of their last 6 has got under 2.5. Like you said, Liverpool have had the 0-0 with Man United. They've had the 1-1 with Arsenal. You're going to add Chelsea's 0-0 with Villa into that because the 3 of 6 is league games. And as much as I keep saying it's a overs league, at this point you've got to take the under because it's a great price. 6-4 plus 150. And we'll take another 0-0 or something skinny. 1-1 bar suits everybody. But the under 2.5 goals is a massive price at 6-4 plus 150. The penultimate game on the show is Thursday, 7:30 kickoff. West Ham United take on Bournemouth. Really tight on the books, this one, as you'd expect. West Ham 13-10 plus 130. The draw 14-5 plus 280. And Bournemouth are 7-4 plus 175. West Ham, I've put them in fade, remember, so I need to fade them somehow. 6th in the league and unbeaten in 5. Decent at home. They've kept 3 clean sheets in a row at home. I don't know where I was looking when I put them into auto fade. They've had a Calvin Phillips to lumber about in the middle of the park for a bit. But the things you like about West Ham fly in the face of all the things that you like and know about Bournemouth recently. They have lost 2 in a row now. Lots of goals, 4-4, 3-5 and 3 in the last 5 league games. You can add a 5-0 FA Cup win to that the other night. The prices tell you how close this is. It's just goals, Baz, and somebody wins 2-1. Both teams to score over 2.5 goals. It's 5-6, Baz, -120.
Yeah, it's funny how you can spin stats, isn't it? Because you've just said West Ham are unbeaten in 5 in the league. And the first thing I've got is that they haven't got a win in 4 in all competitions. So that does include 2 FA Cup games against Bristol City. But yeah, they drew with Sheffield United, drew with Brighton. So for me, I don't know, West Ham are a funny team, aren't they? They're sitting in 6th in the league without having caught my eye really at any point this season. Just so quietly just appeared in the top 6. They sit 10 points ahead of Bournemouth, and in my mind, Bournemouth have had a better season. Like, just, I think recency bias, possibly because Bournemouth had that really good spell. Bournemouth did start very slowly, to be fair. Bournemouth had that little rough patch that recently, but it was defeats to Spurs and Liverpool. And prior to that, they were banging form and scoring plenty of goals. They got back on track on Thursday in the FA Cup with a 5-0 win. And I'm going to take them to bounce back here. Like you, I wanted to fade West Ham here, and it was how do I do it? Prior to losing to Spurs and Liverpool, Bournemouth had been on a 7-game streak of scoring 2 or more goals, and I think they can do the same here. You think there's goals in the game. I'm going to take Bournemouth to get 2 of them. Bournemouth team total to score 2 or more, 6-5.
Before I give the lines out for this last game, Baz, Lee's asking if you've got a bet builder for the Newcastle match. So gather your thoughts on that while I tell you about the final game.
I've put one together. I've put it in the Telegram, but I'm assuming Lee isn't in there. I'll try and put it on a scroller on the bottom of this screen in a second. Yeah,
good shout. Thank you. Wolverhampton Wanderers taking on Manchester United. Wolves 17-10 plus 170. Draw is 13-5 plus 260. Man United 7-5 plus 140. Barry, finish us off. Another close one on the books. Wolves v Man United.
Yeah, so I mean, Wolves should have got something from the first fixture, shouldn't have started the season. First game of the season was one where Onana cleaned them out at the end, didn't get the penalty. And they dominated. They had the better of the game. Somehow ended up losing 1-0 in that one. They're currently 6 games unbeaten, Wolves. But I think it's a good opportunity for them here. Man United away from home haven't won in their last 4. And they've lost 3 of the last 4 away from home. You know, Man U will pick up results along the way. But at these prices, Wolves is an underdog. I just think Wolves are the better pick here. Comparison games for this. We've already seen Wolves beat Chelsea, Spurs and Man City at home. There's absolutely no reason why they can't win this one as underdog. 17-10 Wolves. I'm just going to take Wolves on the money line to beat Man United, Malcolm.
Watching Newcastle and Fulham come out of that preposterous small house that they've got in the corner of the ground. Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely the same. I don't think anyone's going to win any prizes for guessing, Baz. I've taken Wolves as well for various reasons. I tend to look quite favourably on Wolves recently. Won 3 in a row, then a 0-0 at Brighton. They're sitting in 11th. They were among the goals before that 0-0. They've won 5 of 10 at home. They've beaten Man City at home. They've beaten Tottenham at home. Man United 1 win in 6. And that was the game they were 2-0 down against Villa. And Villa shit the bed, really. It should be no wins in 6. They've lost 3 of the last 4 away. Against Forest, against West Ham, against Newcastle. Comparison games, I would say. You have to take Wolves, Barry, at 17-10. Plus 170. Barry's chucked his bet builder up on the screen there for anybody who wants to get involved in the next 4 minutes. Onto the exotic stuff then. I think, Barry, I'll lead us off here. I think you're going to throw out the same dog as me. I've thrown out Sheffield United at 5-1 as my underdog. You probably couldn't pick a team that you'd want to go to rather than Crystal Palace. Other than Palace at the moment, they're absolutely shy. So Sheffield United at 5-1. You said they have shown signs of life under their new manager. Anytime goal scorer, I've gone with the fade of Newcastle. It's got to be Ollie Watkins. We never got near him last year. Absolutely nowhere near him. He's 4-1 to score first and last against Newcastle. And 5-4 plus 125 to score at any time. And for what it's worth, I've got an over 2.5 goal parlay, which is Tottenham v Brentford, West Ham v Bournemouth, and the one that makes the price is Palace versus Sheffield United. That pays just over 4-1 plus 408 for over 2.5 between Spurs, Brentford, West Ham, Bournemouth, Palace, Sheffield United. Baz.
Yeah, so if you want to get on that bet builder that I put on the screen, you'd have to do it quick. Game kicks off in 2 minutes, Newcastle versus Fulham. So get yourself on there now. Where are the lads? The exotics for me, Malcolm, I've got the same underdog. Sheffield United to beat Palace at 5-1. For a scorer, I'm going for Timo Werner, 6-4. He did manage 5 shots on goal against Man United on his debut. Granted, none of them were on target. Just what we come to expect from Timo Werner. But eventually he'll get one. So I'm going to take him here because I think there'll be goals in that game. So 6-4 anytime scorer for Timo Werner and 5-1 first and last scorer. And my ACCA is a team total treble. I've gone for Arsenal. I've gone Brighton. And I've gone Bournemouth. All to score 2 or more goals at 9-2. And card treble I'd looked at. I was going to go with cards again, Malcolm. But there are no prices, so I can't tell you what price this is at the minute, but it'll be nice because we've got 3 yellow cards in here. Polinia for Fulham, Lamina for Wolves, and Branthwaite for Everton. 3 of them to be carded. I'll put that out on Twitter when I find out the price later in the weekend. But that's where I've gone for my ACCAs this week.
Timo Werner pick, Baz. I'm going to tell you exactly how that's going to go down, right? Do you remember the Kai Havertz dog shit penalty when they're 4-0 up? That's what Timo Werner's going to get because they're desperate for him to get a goal. He did quite a lot of good stuff again last night, but he never, once he gets 1-on-1, he just never looks like kicking it in between the posts and under the bar. Tottenham will be 4-0 up. They'll get an 82nd minute penalty and they'll let Timo roll it in for his goal. So that's a winner, but that's how it's going. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, everyone in the chat from the bottom up. Serial, Lee and Oren, who else was in there? Duke and James and Callum at the top as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Baz. Teams are lining up for Fulham against Newcastle. We'll be back on... Oh, what should we do, Baz? I'll tell you what, we'll discuss it off air. And we'll schedule it in here. We'll put it in the Discord and everything else. Good luck, everyone, with your FA Cup picks tomorrow. Come on, Newport. And, Premier League picks in the week. Thanks, Baz. Good luck, everybody. We will see you down the road. Cheers.